So this is an invitation to join me for a little bit. Um, I'm back from a trip. It was a quick trip, just 2.5 days in California. We were there for my wife's dad passed away, and it was his memorial service. But it was a chance to go on a trip with my family and my kids and to see family. I shot 6 rolls. I'm only about halfway through the developing. I've got sort of my first round of edits done, and I have 96 photos that I consider like possible keepers. And what I want to do here is like edit down out loud, talk about some of the photos, and um, yeah, sort of bring you along with my process here. I thought maybe it's a little tricky of like, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to get down to 60 for a slideshow? Am I trying to like what am I up to, right? And I think I want to be for a moment here raise the bar quite a bit and try to get to like a best 10, right? Imagine I'm trying to show these to people who don't know my family but do like photography, and they're looking for right strong images that right sort of transcend the personal meaning. So right, like what are my sort of my top 10 like almost portfolio material, and do I even have anything, right? But it's like um all right, so just some quick little bit of facts for people who nerd out on some of the details. Um, right, this is coming off of 4 rolls. 3 of them are double X at 400. One roll is tri-X at 800. My developer is Xtol, 1 to 2, 68 degrees, 13 and a half minutes. Right, all of these rolls were there together. My lens is a 34 Elmar. That's pretty much what all the shots are. There's some where I switched over to a 35 millimeter, like the pre-spherical Summilux version 2. It's all the same camera. It's my Leica M6 0.58 finder with the anti-flare kit. Right, trip to California for Chi Chi's memorial service, June 2024. There's my scanner set up and my software. All right, so I can't take. I don't want this to be an hour, so I don't know what this is gonna be, but I really like this one. I love her expression. I love her dress. I love this, like, stick thing, whatever that she's holding on to. The background is a nice compliment. Her eyes show nicely. Um, I like this, right? I like this. I like it. But I have this shot, and I like it even more. So, for that reason, I sort of think this sort of loses out just because I like this way that she's here. She's hiding behind her mom's dress. It's that sweet moment of a young child who's sort of a little camera shy but also interested. And right, her mom's dress is really gorgeous too. So I might mark. Oh, I'm gonna have a hard time. So I'm gonna mark this one as a 3 stars. You can see my little starring system because it's, I think, a really strong image. But I think this one gets a 4. Okay. I like this expression. You know, they're sort of their laughter, their connection. My wife's gonna probably say, "I don't love that of me," right? Um, but I like the way she's kind of reaching over and grabbing my wife. But I think this is going to stay a 2 and lose out. Here's a man who has spent a lot of his life being the photographer like me, and I sort of caught him with his camera down, and I like this the way the light's hitting him, the expression. So I'll probably share that with him, but I think otherwise it's not strong enough. Here's the kids sort of hiding behind, or they were hot outside and they found this kind of cool spot, and it's I love the moment, but the image just isn't quite strong enough. I love the moment, right? It's my son, but again, it just doesn't quite have the right elements. Yeah, I sort of like the way this tree was kind of coming up and all these kind of rocks, but it's just not interesting enough, right? I did sort of want to see what it was going to be. This one's, it's just kind of nice lighting and shapes and things, but again, there's not enough there. My son had just beat me at thumb wrestling, and I wanted to capture this moment. I may have let him win, right? But he beat me, and I said, "Show me your thumb." And I do like this one. I might want to come back and edit it a little bit differently, but I don't know that it's probably one that's just personally meaningful for me. I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it's a good image. Right, the way that he's sort of framed by these things. I think the exposure was right on, but I don't think it's going to make it to a 4. I like this one is maybe a 4. I like the way he's walking across the rocks. Right, this is his. He's engaged in this, like walking around the rocks and thinking about his feet and going around the circle around this tree, and sort of as a combination of all the things I was wanting out of this shot. And sort of, right, I like the way he's sort of framed against this fence, his hands, his gaze, right? So this might be a 4. I liked that my mother-in-law was wearing a hat and sunglasses inside, and her son is cooking, and sort of the interesting plates on the table, and my son came into the picture. But I think this one is probably only a 3. If maybe some of the expressions were a little bit better, it might be a 4, but as is, I think it's just a 3. This one, my son didn't come in. I was a little bit like, which is better with him or not? I don't know. Neither of them, I think, cross over into I don't know, this. Ooh, I'm going to make it a 3. I want to come back and spend more time with that. All right, my mother-in-law going for the raid to get some wasp. I think just a 2. I wanted to use her hat as foreground. It was a good idea, but not a little bit of a miss. All right, here I'm getting my wife's hands, right? She's giving George a back rub. And I like it. I like that sort of kind of how I got down low, and I've nailed her hands and getting that nice rub. You can see him all sprawled out. So that's at least a 3. I'm going to go with a 3. Now, I love the lighting on this, the way it's coming through that window and sort of hitting all the shapes and nice tones. And I like the lighting on, like, my son's, the way it kind of gets the contour of their shape of their face. It's just maybe not interesting enough of a photo, right? It's just mealtime. But in terms of the sort of image quality, I actually like it a lot. So I'm going to make it a 3, but I don't think it'll be a 4. This was sort of the same idea. I just wanted to try a vertical And I don't know, do I don't know. I think I sort of like all the activity of the hands, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hands. Yeah, there's maybe something to that. I think I'm gonna have to crop it differently, kind of get in here more where you sort of get all the sense of the activity in the hands. So I'm gonna give that a 3. Oh yeah, so I like this one a lot. Right, I like all the dark grays. I like the contrast. I like his jumping. I like exactly where I got him in the middle. I like the way everything kind of spokes off of a center. So I mean, I might come back and play with the cropping a bit, but this I almost feel like is a 4. I like, this is all sort of like geometric basketball-y, but I really like the grays and right, the way I sort of played off the shadow of the basketball goal and even the pole, right? I stopped down my 24 millimeters, sort of kind of collapse everything into a flat plane. So I know this isn't going to be that interesting to everybody, but it kind of like reminds me of like the artist I was in like junior high and high school. Sort of, I don't know. I'm gonna give it a 4, even though it's right. It's like, this one I like just kind of the shape and of the slide and sort of the right, the shadow and sort of, there is something I sort of like about it. But at the same time, it's just like you can't really see him. Everything kind of feels a little far away. So I don't know. But I don't know. There's something there. 3. All right, my kids being goofy. They are they've gotten to this age now where, right, they're more aware of me and my camera, and I let them sort of get an idea of what I'm thinking, what I see. I talk about it more. Get them thinking about shots and sort of kind of what the shapes are and how they, then I let them kind of play around in it, right, like this. And so it's fun for me, but yeah, I'm gonna leave this one as a 2. I think right, it's a shot for Dad. This one, I have jumped around on this one. It has sort of continues to grow on me the more I look at the whole thing. Sort of, I like the elements and the weight of things, and I sort of like their expressions too, and sort of the different tonality across the two boys. So this one is at least a 3. It's one that every time I look at it, I'm like, I keep finding more and more things I like about it. Now these were fun to do, and I gotta bump these up to at least a 3 because they were just my boys pretending to dunk. Right, I've lifted them up there and I'm letting them have a little moment, and they turned out great. Right, the wide angle sort of helps exaggerate some of the angles, and the right, they were great. They were great. It's fun. So these are all 3s. Yeah, so this is one that when I took it, I was super excited about, and kind of when I developed out, this was the first one I went to. I was excited to see it because I found this cool reflection off of a car that had made this really neat pattern on the wall. So I wanted to use that and let my boys kind of be aware of what I was thinking, and then so this was their idea of kind of how to be part of it. And I just love all the tones and the gray and and I think their expressions are sort of unique and sweet. So that's I could see it maybe not landing for other people though. So it's at least I'll leave it as a 3, but probably gonna bump that to a 4. Ooh, I'm gonna make it a 4. It might come down. This is that just kind of absurd bush in my sort of. I just wanted to have my son kind of enter the scene. I don't know. Ooh, it's either a 2 or a 3. I'm gonna make it a 3 for now. This was right. I love sort of the light coming into the room and just kind of seeing the shapes and then the pattern across the bed. So I just wanted to give this a chance, right? Sometimes, right, this is not a black and white scene, right? It just gets interesting to take it. And then for me, it somehow becomes very inviting. Like I love digging into it as a black and white object, in the film grain and the textures. And it also becomes sort of like an invitation to lay on the bed. So I think, I don't know, another one where it's like, I really like it. I think a lot of other people won't. This one is, I don't know, it was sort of a cool idea, but I think it was really a miss overall. The composition's not strong enough. Okay, here is my mother-in-law. She's trying to log in on update some software on her TV. See, it says ID, and now it's asking for a password, and now it's asking her to re-enter the password, and now it's asking her to confirm an account, and now it's asking her to sign in with this account, and now it's back to the password screen. And she's like, oh my gosh, like, are you kidding me? And I was thinking about just having this be a series, but it's just too many. So I think I'm just going to keep this one here where she's just like, back to the password screen. And that's sort of, I don't know if that quite kind of captures the whole story here. I'm going to think that maybe it does and try to kind of keep just that one image. Okay. Kids are playing outside. This is a bright California sun midday, and they're playing on this like super slide thing. And I ended up pulling out a different roll of film for this one. I switched over to P30, and I haven't developed it yet. So I'm probably going to end up picking something off that roll, but I wanted a couple to keep here. Right, this one, right, you see my boys coming around, and there's, right, I even used kind of the branches to sort of not just have like a plain sky. So I'm going to make that a 3. This one is sort of similar, but maybe not as good. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm going to end up picking one off the other roll. I sort of like the way like the light kind of captured him a little better here, and my other son is also sort of, I don't know. All right, so this was just a nice, right, this is XX. Just I love, right, the look of the film. Everything's kind of the tones, and right, I like sort of the depth, and then also the fall off. This is at 24 millimeter at 3.8. Right, I think it's a flattering picture for the most part. I might, you gotta always show these to the people in them and see if they're okay with it or something. And they're friends, and this is a I like that, right? This was right before they became aware that I had my camera up, and I got them just having a smile. But is it like, I don't know, is this that interesting to anybody else? I don't know. I'll make it a 3. The kids are interested in some frogs that they've been collecting. This is a tough one to not rank a 3 because it should have been a 3, but I think it's a slight miss, right? It's like, I don't know, it's pretty. I wish my angle was just a little bit different, but it happened pretty quick, right? It's not staged, so it's like, and I do like that her hand is in here, but you don't quite know what it is. Like, what is it? Oof, I'm going to make it a 3, but I bet it's going to come down. All right, this one I love. Again, it's like, it's so hard as dad not to just think that this is the greatest photo in the world. But right, I love that. Right, that he's, I got him perfectly, and then his cousin is back here. She's great, and his other cousin is like climbing up the tree. Um, and I guess maybe I wonder about cropping in some. Right, I'd get rid of this recycle bin in the car. But I sort of like this kind of this big old limb, right? It gives you that real sense of where he is. So I'm gonna make that a 3, and somehow I hope to be able to come back and maybe make that a 4. Um, yeah, he's got the frog, right? That's, I love that I got her. Not only did I get her behind him, smiling, but she also has her hands cupped too, right? She was just holding the frog. Another one that I feel like maybe I can crop in a little bit more. So I'm gonna make that a 3. My son's having so much fun on this big swing, and it's great. I even sort of like the way this kind of hose sort of shapes around him. And my other son back here, so this is good. It's not gonna be a 4. I even have some other, like we were here not too long ago, and I have some other pictures similar to this that I like better. But this one, right, kind of back to, I probably don't want more than 1 or 2 in this of this type. Is this one strong enough? Probably not. I do like how they're all running around, but I bet that's not going to be the one I keep. All right. I like how my wife's hand has kind of come around, and you really see her fingers on his hair, and his little, tuck up next to mommy posture, his feet, and the way he's got his hand curled, and her hand's also on his back, and she's, right, having a conversation with her friend, and the lighting is pretty darn perfect. I like this one. This one's at least a 3. I'm gonna give that a 4 for now. This one. I mean, my other son is coming splashing out of the tunnel. There's good activity. She's coming around the look. My other son pressed up against it. So I'll give it a 3. All right, they're having fun in the airport. I love how, right, they're aware, right? This is them aware that I'm taking their picture, and they're being goofy. I sort of like, he's holding his foot and he's putting it up to his mouth, but that just kind of shaped really well. There's something absurd about this one that I like. I'm going to make that a 3 for now. It's hard to make anything a 4 where people are aware that the photo's happening, right? Here they're, right, we're just having killing time in the airport, having a little fun. But right, I like this company, Banfield, and I love the look of the cat photo. And so and my kids are all into cats, so we have a little moment here, and it turned out pretty good, right? I like sort of their body posture and their hands reaching for the kitty cat, and I mean, it's not a 4. It's not a 4, but come on, I can't not give that a 3. Right, this is where I need like an editor to help me, but whatever. It's like I don't really quite have a purpose of what I'm really doing this for. Here are my kids. You see their hands coming in, right? So they were interested in these gummy bears, right? They saw them and they were like, oh my god. They're not stealing them. This was just a little bit of like them trying to tell dad that like they really want the gummy bears, right? Some gigantic line in the airport to pay for them. But guess what dad did? I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, them just kind of peeking out this cool window in the airport. Oh, let's see. Is this a 3? I think it is a 3. I think it's pretty clever. This one is just a 2. This one's just a 2. This one giving a hug of mom. That's fun for me. It's good for a part of our trip. I think that's just a 2. Same sort of window shot. There is maybe one in here that I think's decent. This one's good. I like it, but I think it's just a 2. All right, the gummy bears. So dad bought the gummy. I went when they weren't looking, and I bought them the gummy bears. So, And I like this one a lot, right? My older son Ellery is tossing the gummy bear up in the air, and he's just like, he's got the hand, right? He's got a handful of gummy bears, and he's just like so happy about the gummy bear. And my other son is like, I think I told him he could have 10, so he's like very, very carefully making sure that he counts 10 correctly. So I don't know. It's at least a 3. I'll give it a 3. That's, ooh, yeah. Okay, this is the Sonoma airport where, right, the peanuts originated in the area, and so there's lots of Snoopy stuff. Again, we're just sort of having fun, passing time in the airport. It's a great one to like tell the story of the trip, but it's this one too is just sort of sweet family trip picture. And I also love that I got my mother-in-law with a big laugh, right? Right. Everybody's happy about this, but I have a tendency to take too long on sort of the shot, so they wear out. They're like, "Come on, Daniel, we gotta go. We're traveling." But I don't think none of these would kind of show up in like these are just like family trip photos. This one, the light was beautiful. I liked the patterns, and so I kind of thought maybe I tried to make something of it, and I sort of did, but not strong enough. It's not quite in. There's not quite. It's like it's interesting. The tones are interesting. The patterns. Now this one, man, I like this one a lot. This one I actually think is at least a 3, maybe a 4. But it's like, I say that because of the shapes and the tones and the sort of the way that he chose to model. I don't know, model's not the right word, right? But and we're getting Mexican food, and so I guess I maybe have a little bit of weird feelings about like the restaurant sign, right? It's like, does that make it a stronger image or weaker? And then there's this one where my other son wanted to come in and join, and I do sort of I like this one too. I might just make them both 3s and come back and spend a little more time trying to decide which of the two I want to keep, if either. But this sort of has that Kudelka feel to it for me. I think I like this one a little better. Yeah, just a shot eating lunch. Okay, this one though. This one is at least a 3. I like, but again, it's like I actually spent a little bit of time on this one trying to edit, and I still feel like I got to keep working on it. But I love sort of the pattern in the table, and then this interesting shape up above, and my son, interested in touching it, feeling it, and I think it's only a 3 right now, but there has potential. All right, this, I saw, we were driving past this in an alley, and I said, "Who wants to be in this photo?" And my son hopped up, and he was in it. And George he's sort of been averse to being in photos up until the last week, and so I was like, go for it. But I'm not gonna say, anytime he's interested in being a photo right now, I want it to happen, just so that we can sort of get back to that place where he's not photo averse. So this was awesome, little alley shot. But I think it's only a 2 in terms of like, I'll make it a 3. It's David Bowie and Prince. Back to that sort of interesting bush thing in my mother-in-law's yard, and then my other son trying to smell it. And then I sort of, I gave it extra exposure to kind of get into it a little bit. I don't know. It's probably just a 2, but okay. Right. If you know Kudelka's work, you can see what I'm thinking here, right? This is sort of in line with his work. I think I gotta continue to edit it a little better, but like I like the dark, the kind of place where you can have lots of dark gray, but then you can have some kind of like the contrast in your subject that helps them pop off the dark gray, and right, and get all that tonality, like a big stretch of tonality across the face and the hand. Yeah, so this is I'm gonna mark that as a 4. Right. I took a few here because I had one right. Ellery's jumping on a pogo stick and George is climbing in a tree, and I was like, oh man, I gotta figure this out. And I don't know that I got the one I really wanted, except this one is like really shows what's happening, right? It doesn't feel like a, hey, smile. It's like, I got a son jumping on a pogo stick and I got a kid climbing in a tree. So that's sort of what it is, right? So that was my keeper. Here, I like this one a lot, but this one ended up, I think, being better. So this one, ooh, right, there's something very gentle about his expression, and it's very much in the tree. I don't know, I'm gonna make this one a 3. I mean, for Dad, for me, this is a 5, right? Beautiful exposure, development. I mean, it's gorgeous in terms of like the film and the camera and the right. And I love his expression, right? So that's yeah, just showing the pogo stick. I like how the pogo stick and the broom sort of have the same angle, and right. I had to try to work it where I didn't want. There was a lot of ways that the background could fail here, and I think this was the one where it was sort of helped isolate him on a pogo stick. I don't know. Okay. I like, I got everybody's faces here. Everybody's, they're just posing for this photo, right? And I came in and was like, I'll do a photo of a photo, right? Not that clever, but it worked. And I would actually say this is a really, really good image. All of that's really good. But I wanted to keep that they were underneath the tent. I do wish, I think this is Anya back here. I wish that she had shown up a little bit better. There's a little too much flare, and maybe she was moving. She's here, but I wish I could see her face. That would take it over the top for me. But it's still very, very nice. And that one I want to definitely share with the family. All right, I have starting to have a collection of these because Ellery's enjoys climbing the tree, and so but this is maybe my favorite yet, right? I did a better job of sort of having the tree be a foreground object here, and then the way his feet are right here, and then sort of the angles on his body and his hands, and the way all this sort of like the sharpness that kind of fades away. Right, his fingers, and then the expression, even this cute little leaf that got in the way. So this is probably my favorite tree shot I have of Ellery so far. So I'm going to give that a 4. All right, kids being kids. And great. This is a beautiful smile, really lovely photo. Can't wait to share it with the family. Again, this is that 24 millimeter, which, so often 24 millimeter, 3.8, like there's no out of focus. Well, yeah, there is if you get really close, right? And I like this type of fall off. Right. It's, yeah, I like their expressions, I like the tones. So this is, I don't know that other people are going to be amazed, but it's I don't know. It's a sweet little cousin moment. George is jumping onto mom. Love it for a family trip photo, but that's probably what it is. Yeah, here they are. Yeah, what were they looking at or seeing? I can't remember. You know, they're trying to tell me to turn around, Dad, something like that. It's a great trip photo, but this one is, I think, more than that, right? This one has just such beautiful expression from both of them. Great hands, beautiful tonality, and I also really like the out of focus background, right? It's not super out of focus, but it is out of focus, and it all complements, right? It's all very complementary to them. Um, you know, so this is one of my favorite from the roll. You know, George was, again, he was letting me take his photo, which was so sweet, and um, Mom and Ellery had already headed down and were basically saying, "Come on, don't waste time, taking more pictures." So I feel a little bit rushed on this, but also I don't know, like kind of the way this light comes in on that side and sort of the frame of the square, um, his hands. This one tree, right? I sort of had to decide what to do with that tree. Was I going to let it to be the left of him or the right of him? And I sort of was just like, I'm going to stick it right behind him, which is sort of like, you don't do that, but I tried sort of on each side, and I wasn't liking that either. So, I don't know. It makes me wonder if I maybe crop down a little bit more, just to kind of kill the presence of that tree a little bit more. All right. All right. The reason I kept this one is my other son, George, kind of popped in. He sort of photobombed it, and I loved that about this. Yeah. Something that stands out to me there is just sort of all these interesting bushes and like, I don't know if you call that hedge work or whatever, but I sort of liked kind of the juxtaposition of that with this like big five sporting goods store. It's early in the morning, right? There's no cars there, so I don't know. I like it. The This is just sort of a trip photo, right? Just kind of remembering what we did, having breakfast together at a bagel shop. Now, there was an interesting guy over here with a hat, and I was sort of trying to maybe get him in it too, but I guess got his hat. Try to give people privacy unless I think it's like a brilliant picture. I don't know. This is one I wanted to be better, right? Or just needed a person, right? I think this one fails because I didn't end up with a person here. But this is still that same bagel shop, right? You get all these old smoothie posters that were starting to fade, and right, these bagel boxes and the American flag, and I don't know, but needed a person. This one also needed a person, right? I just wanted to take it. I liked, I had this idea of silhouetting the chairs, but it needed maybe a person, maybe a one person inside and one person outside would have helped that one a lot. Okay, here I sort of narrowed it down to two. One was, I stepped back a little bit more. Here I got in a little bit more. And I don't know. Neither one is a 4, but I might keep that one as my 3. Now I just liked all these palm trees, right? These in the parking lot, and my kids did this. They sort of got up there and pretended to be the palm tree, and so I wanted to get one. But they're also eating breakfast, right? And I was like, I'm not gonna take a picture of you eating, but they said, "Oh no." Well, I was waiting for him to finish chewing, but then as soon as he finished chewing, he'd take another bite. I was like, I can't wait for you to eat your whole bagel. Um, so, but I don't know. It was fun. It was fun to get these plants. Ellery being, I mean, they're just being goofy. So these are just like family trip photos. And again, this one just sort of like, somewhere between me and them, we just got this idea of like them kind of pretending to be part of the bush or whatever. I do think something that is becoming more obvious to me is that my kids are starting to understand how I think about looking for images, and they're starting to like, oh, Dad, look at this cool shadow, and right. And so this was that kind of moment of them, finding this cool shadow, and then sort of wanting to, also make a shadow, and so, but not. I think that there was potential here, but this one's not quite super strong. Now here I was wanting to sort of the juxtaposition of like this intense amount of candy. So we went into the sporting goods store, right? And then also like right behind it is this giant display of guns. And then sunglasses. So you got candy and sunglasses and guns. So I was trying to make something of that, but also not be like the weirdo taking pictures inside of the store. This one somehow feels too bright in the middle, and it's like, what is this a picture of? I don't know that it comes across of like what I was wanting it to. And this one is like, you can see them down there. They've picked out Skittles cotton candy, and they're sort of making a joke of like, look, Dad, Skittles cotton. Of course I bought it for him because I'm a sucker like that. So this is maybe the one I think is a 3. I like them. I like, and also you can kind of see the whole spread of the store a little better. Things are sort of. Here my son he's interested in fishing, and so he was checking out the fishing gear. But again, not quite. A little just too much visual noise. Not quite enough, like structure or balance or something. George trying on a shirt inside Target. Love the moment for Dad. Right. Ellery had got the idea of pretending to be a mannequin, and at first I didn't realize what he was doing with his face. Right. I was like, what's he doing? Was he stretching? And then I realized he was trying to be like a mannequin. I took the picture, and also sort of just like the way the light hit his face is it sort of gives him that mannequin look. And so it's actually really effective, almost in a creepy way. But I don't know, like I think it's at least a 3. There's something really sort of bizarro about it. Right, I don't know. This one comes with a giant story, right? Of like, why would I take this picture? Now, the short version is there was a wait in the Target bathroom, and I spent probably 45 minutes in the spot waiting for people to finish. No, I'll go with 30, and yeah, story over. Okay, all right, Target parking lot. I love how my kids went to this thing as like something to climb on, and right, that kind of boyhood tendency, right? Go climb on this. And then I kind of turned into a photo for Dad, which I really like the photo, but sort of I like this one because it's more innocent of kind of like what they did on their own accord. And this one starts to feel like Dad's like, hey, look here for a photo. So, but still like it. Okay. All right, we're at a train store. This one was like, there's not quite enough to be that visually interesting, but I sort of liked the way the light was hitting, and the truck backed in like this, and sort of them. So it is an interesting picture, but not strong. It's definitely not a 4. But I'm gonna go with a 2.5. Okay, here we're in the train store, and I like that the 24 millimeter here gives me so much to see. Right, you get that sense of like how much stuff is in this train store. Um, and then they're down there trying to decide how they're going to spend their $5. Um, but yeah, I don't know, it's definitely not a 4. And oh, guess what? I think we made it to the end. This one is like, I think it's easy to dismiss this one, but I'm not going to. I actually like that you can feel the intensity of the sun, and I love the textures, the tones, and the patterns on the hotel building. And I also like this sort of intense white wall, and sort of how they're here in the photo, but they're also just like bracing themselves because of that sun and the texture of the grass. So this is actually, for me, is it's at least a 3. Okay. So that was it. That was, if I am kind of interested to see. I'm almost like afraid to just go down to the 4s, because I'm like, well, what about all my 3s? But how many 4s did I end up getting? 9. So that one, that one. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not done, but this was just sort of part of my process. Next up, I'm not gonna kind of beat myself on these images yet, because I still need to develop 2 more rolls and see what I've got on them. So, all right, take care.